And the stage is set for the G20 Summit. The Grand Summit will begin shortly in India's national capital, New Delhi. The world's most powerful leaders are expected to discuss key issues related to global economy, security and climate over the course of next 2 days. A lot is lined up for the day one of the summit. After the ceremonial reception of the visiting leaders, 2 sessions are scheduled to take place at the summit venue. Session 1 is called One Earth and is expected to be on climate, while Session 2, called One Family, will take place later. A slew of key bilateral meetings are also lined up. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold talks with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Now, the sessions and the meetings will be concluded with the special dinner hosted by the Indian President Draupadi Murmu. Along with the world leaders, several chief ministers of Indian states and former Indian prime ministers are also invited for the dinner. While the schedule is packed up today, the eve of the mega summit was also hectic. UN Chief Antonio Guterres held a press conference in New Delhi where he spoke about various challenges that the world currently faces. Well, the Indian Prime Minister also held crucial bilateral meetings with US President Joe Biden, Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and also the Mauritius Prime Minister. Well, all these meetings were focused on boosting relations between the two countries. Well, Prime Minister Modi will also be meeting with the leaders of Comoros, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, South Korea, Brazil and Nigeria on day 2 of the mega G20 summit. Industry associations. And for more on the G20 summit, we're now being joined by Principal Diplomatic Correspondent Siddharth Sibal, who's joining us live from the venue of the G20 summit, the Bharat Mandapam. Hi Siddharth, like I mentioned, you're joining us live from Bharat Mandapam, the venue of the G20 summit. What are the preparations like as of now, as the world leaders are all set to arrive at the Bharat Mandapam in just a short while from now?
Well, right now I'm standing inside the International Media Center where the world's media has descended, and it took almost 1 hour to reach this place. We know that there is a lot of security around in the Indian national capital. We know the preparations which were made before the summit, and these are world leaders, and that is why the government, of course, have taken every measure, including announcing holidays. But if I can show you the situation right now at the International Media Center, my camera person Sanjeet Tiwari can pan around. He can show you the members of the press corps present here, and of course giving minute to minute and live updates as to what is going to happen, expected to happen, and the key deliverables as well. There is a lot of foreign delegates as well, and the Indian focus remains on to showcase the best of India in many ways. It is the 3 C's which we have been talking about, culture, craft and cuisines, that have been focused here, and India wants to put its best foot forward, and for that it is leaving no stone unturned. In fact, India is trying to showcase itself to the world under this G20 presidency, and we saw all throughout the year how India hosted several events, ministerial meetings, the official level meetings across the length and breadth of country, and now of course focus shifts to the grand finale in many senses, which is the Leaders Summit, and many leaders have arrived. Some are expected to arrive very shortly, and then of course we will see the leaders coming here at Bharat Mandapam where the summit's proceedings will begin.
Absolutely, Siddharth. You speak of the Indian focus and the 3 C's. The G20 summit is definitely India's moment in the sun. What does New Delhi's position as the voice of Global South mean for its stature in the changing geopolitical world order?
Well, so far what we have seen is the cacophony of what the West want to talk about, the concerns of the West and Ukraine agenda if you look at the Western newspapers. But what India has been trying to focus is the worries of the global South, especially the worries arising from food, fuel and commodity prices increasing in the aftermath of the Ukraine conflict, and also the impact of the climate challenge, the climate change challenge. And this is something that India is focusing. Earlier this year, India hosted the mega the Voice of the Global South Summit, and that summit saw leaders putting their concerns at the high table, and these concerns, of course, now will be talked about at the G20 Summit. India is also focusing on Africa with the inclusion of African Union as a member, as a permanent invitee of the G20 grouping. So all in all, India's focus is to make sure that the concerns of the global south are talked about and do not get lost amidst the ongoing divide between West and Russia, and of course China as well, on the issue of Ukraine.
Absolutely, Siddhant. Just a short while ago, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz arrived in New Delhi. He's slated to hold a bilateral with the Indian Prime Minister today. What will dominate the talks, and what is New Delhi aiming to achieve with the host of bilaterals that the Indian Prime Minister will be taking part in? A total of 15. That's what we are learning.
Well, the Indian Prime Minister is expected to have 15 bilaterals in 3 days. He has already had 3 bilaterals, Mauritius, Bangladesh and US yesterday. Today the focus is on Germany, UK, Japan and Italy. Now, you talked about Germany. Now, it has been a good relationship, positive momentum. Last year, the Indian Prime Minister visited the country twice, first as a bilateral visit and then, of course, for the G7. And earlier this year, we saw the German Chancellor visiting Delhi. In fact, this is his second visit to Delhi this year. There are, of course, focus areas on climate as well, but there are certain concerns. One, of course, is Arya Shah case. This is a story of a small infant, of a girl child, which is now in German custody over a legal case. Her family have been talking about this issue a lot here in India. There's a lot of talk, especially by the politicians, calling on the Indian government to raise this matter with the German side. Will the Indian Prime Minister raise this matter is something that will be closely watched.
Absolutely, Siddhant. We'll, of course, be tracking all those updates from the mega G20 summit here in New Delhi. But thanks very much for joining us and sharing your insights with us at this hour.